In today's video, you will find out if it's worth investing your money in the new Paco Rabanne 1 million golden oud. It looks like Paco Rabanne have finally listened to me. They could have made this a much more potent version of the original 1 million. So they could have added an oud note. A couple of years ago, when I made my review for 1 million elixir, I said how it would be fantastic if they made a 1 million with oud in, and the day has come. We do have a 1 million with oud in. So let's find out how it smells and work out if you should invest your money in this. So I've tried this a few times, but we're going to spray it on together to find out how it smells. Now, this is much more challenging than I expected. When I heard they were releasing a 1 million with oud in, I thought the oud was going to be a very light note in the base that you could barely detect. I thought there was still going to be the 1 million DNA that was really recognizable in this fragrance, and I thought the oud was going to be just an extra bit in the base notes, kind of like what you get with Boss bottled oud, which is a Boss bottled DNA with oud in the base, and similarly with Stronger With You oud, which is still very recognizable as a Stronger With You fragrance, but just has that added, I guess, complexity of an oud note. But this is completely different. There is literally no similarity between this and any of the 1 million line, and that really surprised me. In a way it's good, and in a way it's bad as well. The reason why it's good is because, you know, there's a lot of fragrances being released at the moment that are not challenging. They're very easy. They're unisex fragrances. That seems to be the direction a lot of designer brands are going, making these very fluffy unisex fragrances that all smell very similar to one another. So this one does smell very different. It's a bit harsh, it's a bit challenging, and for that reason I love it. I just wish it retained some of that 1 million DNA. As I'm smelling this, it just smells really recognizable to other oud fragrances that I've tried, and I think I know what it is. Hang on a second. Montal's Oud Dream. This is a relatively new pickup for me, actually, and this has some similarities that remind me of this fragrance, but to be honest, this 1 million oud is not going to be a unique fragrance particularly. It has other notes like saffron, lots of spices, dry woods, patchouli, and they're notes that a lot of other oud fragrances contain, especially, I guess, the more cheaper end designer oud fragrances. And Montal are a relatively cheaper niche house, and so I guess some of the ingredients and the notes could be similar. So this is Montal's Oud Dream that I'm smelling now, and there are some similarities. I actually think Oud Dream is a slightly better fragrance. It's more airy and it just smells a bit nicer. It just smells a bit more easy, and I like the airiness that it has off the test strip. But there are certainly some similarities between Montal's Oud Dream and the new Paco Rabanne Golden Oud, which I never would have expected. Would you? Would you have really thought that Paco Rabanne were going to make a fragrance that could have some similarities to a Montal fragrance? I mean, they're two brands that make completely different fragrances for different markets. So really cool that they've released this in the way that they have, and the fact that it has this sort of challenging aspect to it. This is spicy. It's very spicy with leather and woody notes. There is actually a hint of bergamot. I'm going to spray it again because when you spray it for the first time, for like 5 seconds, there's a hint of bergamot note, which is really nice, but it goes 5 seconds, I can't detect it anymore. It just goes very spicy, it's dry. It's a really dry fragrance, and the oud is almost like it's a double serving of oud. It's like you can really notice the oud in here, and it's so different to what I expected. As I said, you know, with these other fragrances that have oud in, the designer ones, the oud is not a main note. This is, in here, it's a main note. When you look at the main structure of this, it's spicy, it's woody, it's leathery, and it's dry. So let's go through a couple of things that I love about this, and then we'll mention a couple of things that I don't like so much. What I love about this is it's very interesting and brave. As I said before, a lot of blue fragrances being released, a lot of easy fragrances. This goes in a very different direction to give us a challenging, unique fragrance. And this has been released as a Dubai exclusive or a UAE exclusive, and I can really understand why, because if you release this into Western fragrance stores, think of Sephora, think of the fragrance shop in the UK, think of any kind of department store. If you've got a regular person who's not into fragrances, just trying to find the next fragrance, or a family member trying to find a Christmas present for someone, if they smell this, I think they're going to be off-put by it, because oud fragrances is not particularly enjoyable for people who are not really into fragrances. Of course, unless you're from the Middle East, this has a massive Middle East twist to it. You can tell this is a Middle Eastern fragrance, which is really cool. And I think that over the next few years, we're going to see a lot of Middle Eastern fragrances coming on to the Western fragrance market. We're even seeing it now. I think it's great that we're going to have so many different fragrances to choose from. And the Eastern fragrances that are slowly coming over into the Western market is going to continue. So what do I dislike about this? Well, one thing is it's nothing to do with 1 million. So if you are a fan of the 1 million line and you're looking forward to this because you want to try something that's different in the line, this is just a different fragrance in my opinion. So it could have been called anything. It's nothing to do with the original 1 million, apart from, of course, the gold bar bottle. Also, as with most oud fragrances that I've tried, I don't really know when to wear them. The only time I could think about wearing an oud fragrance would be in a formal situation. I don't think they are office safe. I don't think they are made for casual environments. I think they're just made for formal environments. So the only time I'd ever think to wear this is when, going to a formal occasion, but I've got so many fragrances that fit that bill already. So I don't really know when I'm going to wear this, to be honest, but I really appreciate the creativity and the daringness to bring out something different. So a couple of alternatives for you. If you want something that's easier to wear, an oud that's easier to wear in the designer market, I would look at one of these two that still have the backbone of the original fragrances in them. And if you want a 1 million fragrance, a really sweet, youthful, compliment getter, strong fragrance, my favorite 1 million, I think the best in the line at the moment, is 1 million Parfum. This one has absolutely zero similarities to 1 million Parfum. This is a standalone fragrance with really good performance. I should have mentioned the performance. It performs really well. The projection is not massive, but it's a fragrance that will certainly last on your skin. Those oud notes and the spiciness will just last on your skin for ages. It does with me, and so this does get really good performance. I want to know, are you excited to try this? Can you try it near where you live? If you're in the EU, there is going to be samples available on my website for this, and I will try and get it for my UK site as well. So let me know, have you tried 1 million Golden Oud, and what did you think of it?